Digest is brought to you as a public service by Allegheny Pepsi-Cola of Baltimore.
Farming is a business. You've got to know where you're at. You just don't go out and plant the crop, feed the pigs, forget about it. You've got to know what your costs are, what it costs to feed those pigs, what it costs to produce an acre of corn, what it costs to produce an acre of beans, what your cattle program consists of. Well, we've come a long way this year. We've got the crop in the bin. The harvest is over. We've got 80,000 bushel of corn to think about selling and 20,000 bushel of beans. It's been a pretty good year considering everything we've gone through. We got the crop in the ground real good this spring. We had some water stress in June. We had 25 inches of rain that set the crop back. And we came through the summer with a tremendous heat and moisture stress and came in with an early frost this fall, and we still had a pretty good year, I think. It's an exciting occupation. There's always something different every day. We don't punch any time clocks. The day starts when the sun comes up. The day ends when the work is done, not before. It's always something new and different, always something challenging.
The season begins in early April when the field conditioning is done and we spray the chemical weed control. We try to have the seed corn, which you'll see later, planted by early May and the soybeans in the ground by June 1st. Timing is critical. Every minute counts.
We can do everything right and the weather can upset the apple cart. Probably the two biggest challenges we face in farming is working around the weather and evaluating our marketing approach of the corn and the soybeans, as well as the cattle and the hogs. Farmers face a little different marketing approach than most businesses. We don't operate on a cost-plus basis. We don't operate on a guaranteed basis. Our market is strictly supply and demand. We don't just raise all corn, or all soybeans, or all hogs, or all cattle. We try to keep a balance of the four, so if one area of the business is not prospering, we pick up the slack in another area.
And you've always been interested in farming, just as long as I can remember. It was lambs, and then it was pigs, and when you were in high school, you'd get up at 5 or 5:30 and do chores before you'd go to school.
You remember the night that we came out and we were in the barn and we waited and waited, and finally the baby pigs were born. That was the first time that I had ever seen anything born. And of course, I hadn't been on a farm very much at all, so being on your farm was one of my first experiences, you know.
I can remember that first letter you wrote from Iowa State, and you were very, very lonesome. And you said, oh, I don't know if I can stay 5 or 4 years down here because I just want to get to farming. I can hardly wait to get back. And this was about the first week that you were in school. And you just were thinking all the time that you were going to come back to the farm.
Right.
You know, Phyllis, with this spring and the fall season that comes on, the harvest, I can always tell by Gary's attitude that it's a really happy time for him, and his personality somehow changes. He gets motivated for long hours, and he just loves this work. He just loves to spend the hours, and even if it's all night long that he's working, he doesn't get that tired. I think it's just a motivation in him that keeps him going, and that love of what he's doing that really, really makes him go.
This year we fed 400 cattle. Bring them in here in October, November, put them on a ration consisting of corn silage, corn, and supplement. The corn, high moisture corn, comes out of the upright silos, and the corn silage coming into the feed wagon, being blended, supplement being added, and the material being metered out to the cattle on a specific electronic scale weighed ration so that you know the exact amount the cattle are getting. We try to hit 2.5 to 3 pounds a day on these cattle. The majority of the corn is fed to livestock. Some is being exported now, but the majority is fed to livestock. These animals are kept approximately 10 months until they weigh 1,000 to 1,100 pounds, where they are sent to market. These cattle we fed this year were not very profitable. We lost approximately $100 a head. The reason being corn was too expensive and meat was too cheap. We decide to sell cattle when they get to a certain point. The buyers are called in to get the best bid we can. The cattle move on into to the packer, to the retailer, and eventually to the consumer. We're in the farrowing house here, observing the sows nursing their baby pigs. These pigs are 3 days old. At birth, they weigh approximately 4 pounds. These sows we're looking at weigh approximately 500 pounds. And we hope to average 9 pigs raised at 3 to 4 weeks of age when we take the pigs away from the mother. These sows then are turned right back out into the breeding herd and bred to farrow again in 4 months. We're feeding the sows here corn and protein. We've got approximately 300 sows. We'll try to farrow 3,500 pigs this year. When the pigs reach approximately 15 to 20 pounds, they're taken away from the mothers and put into the nursery building. They stay there for the next 4 weeks of their life and grow to approximately 40 pounds of weight, where they're taken into the finishing building or into the finishing lots, where they're kept another 3 months and go on the market, and we eat them as pork chops.
I think that the harvest is Gary's biggest season, what he enjoys the most, by getting in that combine, the big machine, and really going and cleaning out a field with the corn or the soybeans.
When I farmed out in Nebraska with horses for 3.5 years, we picked corn by hand, and it took a good man to pick 100 bushel a day. In other words, something like 8 or 10 bushel an hour. Now a combine pick 800 bushel an hour replace about 80 men.
Corn harvest underway on a beautiful sunshiny day. This is what we've worked and waited for all year long. We're out here with a 6-row John Deere combine, combining roughly in a 12-hour day 6 to 8, 9,000 bushel. We're running the combine all the time, dumping the machine on the go, getting the corn into the truck while the combine is moving. So the combine never stops combining that corn. We're traveling here about 6 miles an hour now. This corn rin right now is yielding about 100 to 110 bushel an acre, down about 20% from normal years. Out here this afternoon inspecting the soybean field, seeing if the beans are ready for harvest. We lost ground, lost time. We got the beans in 3 weeks late. Went through an extreme dry stress in the summer, coming in with a 3-week early frost. These beans are yielding about half of what they ordinarily would have if they would have been planted on time and had a normal frost. You see the green, shriveled up beans that were stressed by the drought, and then the real killer was the frost that reduced yields even further. These beans are ready to harvest now. It's just a matter of getting them out of the field. The soybean has come into strong usage during the last 15 years and been heavily grown the last 5 years. The soybean can be compared with a peanut. It's got many, many, many uses. It's used in food preparation. It's used as hog feed. It's an excellent protein source for protein-deficient countries of the world. And this is where over half our crop goes, exported abroad to the protein-deficient areas of the world. So the soybean has come a long way, and it plays a major part in our exportable farm commodities.
up until the last few years, agriculture was basically just feeding America. Now there's a big world market for agricultural products, and that's a great potential. I think another factor that is overlooked many times is the fact there's only so much land. There'll never be any more land. I have great confidence in the future of agriculture.
Spreading fertilizer, now getting the ground ready for next year's crop, applying approximately $20 the acre of nitrogen, phosphorus, and potash. This will be plowed under this fall and lay there and be ready for the crop next year. We're being followed right up here by the disc, getting the stalks pulverized and ready to plow the stalks under. Tomorrow we'll be turning her black with the moldboard plow. And now the plow comes along, turns under the fertilizer and the organic matter in the stalks. We stay right behind the combine with our fall operation, getting that ground in good shape so we're all ready to go when the next crop year comes around. Weather is the key again in the fall. Under normal years, we get somewhere between 20 and 30 work days during the fall. We all know that it's got to be done when the days are right. There's no tomorrow sometimes. We send in our monthly statement of income and expenses to a computer, which sends us back every month exactly what our expenses and income have been and what our profit for that month is. This gives us a running current total on where we are in the year, how things are shaping up, and the kind of job we're doing. And you've got to know where you're at all the time in this big business that we're in. When I left college, the average farmer produced enough food for 27 people. And today it's over double, it's over 60 now. It's quite a change we're going through, and I just wonder what the next 20 years are going to bring. We talk about the joys of farming. Probably the biggest joy in my life is raising 4 boys out here on this 720-acre farm. Some people say we live in a small world. Well, it's a pretty big world to me. They've got more opportunity, more things to do, more projects, more fun, more freedom, more safety than any place in the world. And I'm thoroughly enjoying raising my 4 boys out here on the farm, and I hope someday that 1 or 2 or all will come back and join me in this job that we've got to do, and I'm sure that one of them will. They're pretty enthused boys. They love it out here. I don't think they'd trade it for anything in the world, as I wouldn't either.
The Screen News Digest has been brought to you by Allegheny Pepsi-Cola of Baltimore. Remember, you've got a lot to live, and Pepsi's got a lot to give.